What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today when I talk to you about SoFi, I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So starting off with companies unveiling their earnings, big one for this week is going to be ticker MU, so Micron, after hours on Tuesday. So because of their earnings, they could potentially move a lot of the AI and tech stocks, and through that, much of the greater market. So SoFi could move because of that, but to be fully honest, SoFi is a beast. It just does its own thing. Even over the last week, a lot of the fintechs have been pulling back, and yet SoFi just says F you and just creates a new all-time high. So SoFi is just on a massive, massive run, even though there hasn't been all that much in official news. So last news did come out on September the 4th. Everything that's been happening has just been largely speculative in nature. Plus, I guess in some cases, some of it is justified because we're about a week and a half away from the end of Q3, and we do know what's coming in Q4, SoFi crypto in some capacity. So we'll be having that. And if we kind of look over on SoFi's website at some of the positions that are being like what they're hiring for, because when companies don't give updates directly, you can always look at what they're hiring for as a good insight. So you see a lot of crypto positions. So senior associate, business operations, crypto. And unfortunately, a lot of SoFi's positions don't actually say the date. So I don't know exactly when that was posted, but it's still open. So that's kind of a good thing. But nonetheless, you see crypto, AML advisor, compliance officer, cryptocurrency specialist. You have a lot of just good things. So even under the engineers, like everything is just crypto related. Finance director, strategic finance, crypto. So in general, that is going to be the next big thing for SoFi. And I think a lot of investors know that is coming. And given the circumstances, in my opinion, I think crypto largely has been priced into the market or into SoFi stock price. But even when they do announce it, it still should really push a little bit higher. But even going into this upcoming week, which most likely a lot of that positive momentum from last week will roll over, Elliott TA technicals are now projecting for it to hit roughly around that 33.78. And for those of you that have been kind of following this, it's been very accurate. Even myself on my Patreon, when it was roughly around that $20 range, 2021, I did give an update and said that I do feel 29.50 is a good realistic target. And so as of Friday, it hit that. So I'll be doing an update most likely later today, if not tomorrow on there. So if you are interested, pop over to my Patreon in the description below. And aside from that, I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, so worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. This upcoming week though is going to be fairly volatile because we have an enormous amount of Fed speakers. And we already do know that they, depending on what they mention, could cause some volatility. So we even have the most bearish and the most bullish Fed speakers. So you're going to have a wide range of topics being brought up in regards to inflation, interest rates, everything. So most likely that's going to cause a lot of volatility. Aside from that, we do have the big bad Powell on Tuesday, so that should be a fun time. Hopefully he does reconfirm pretty much what he mentioned last week about 50 basis points, and yeah, that would be a pretty good catalyst and reconfirm and might re-motivate the market to really push higher as well. Because even though as soon as he said that, this jumped up. So for the October 29th, we have a 91.9% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. And then for the December 10th, a 80.5% likelihood of a following 25 basis point cut. I don't believe either of those have been priced into the market. So again, that could be a pretty good catalyst on Tuesday. Aside from that, true data, we do have on the Thursday GDP and then Friday PCE. So should make for a very fun time. Going into this upcoming week, 8.74% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 102.87 million shares overall being shorted. Cost to borrow average is sitting at 0.58%. Cost to borrow minimum surprisingly has been positive for the last week and a half. And so that's kind of a good thing. shows that the manipulation has ceased somewhat with SoFi. So again, if you are somewhat new to the channel, whenever cost to borrow minimum is negative, that does mean, or usually does mean, that there's brokers out there physically paying people to short SoFi. But given how much shorts have returned, clearly they just said F it and they kind of gave up. Aside from that, coming from a bull standpoint, you do see a consensus for it to be roughly around that 30 to 30.50 for the end of this upcoming week. Bears are anticipating for some level of consolidation for it to kind of be between that 27.50 and 28. With Friday having a lot of in the money options, you could see a little bit of a bump up come potentially Monday, because market makers will have to cover that. But we did also see a lot of big transactions both on the secondary market as well as the dark pool after hours. So possibly market makers have been covering. So you have 1 million there, 12.5, 9 million, 4 million. That was on the dark pool. These are all the ones on the secondary market. So 25.4, 25.4. All of this I did bring up on my Friday video. So it's not new information. So most likely market makers have covered a certain amount, but most likely you'll see still a nice little bump up come potentially Monday. Looking here with it at 29.51, it is smack dab between this R3 and this R2. 27.96 will be that strong support, and personally I don't really see that being touched unless something dramatic does come out from one of the Fed speakers. So again, just kind of watch for that. Flip side, 30.25 is going to be the next strong target slash resistance. And if it's able to get above that, then in theory, the Elliott Wave Technicals is projecting for it to kind of be between that and that 36.26. So things could get very real very fast. I see a lot of people kind of throwing out some crazy price predictions, saying that's going to be $50 by the end of this year. As much as I'd love to say that is realistic, no stock just ever goes straight vertical. Normally there's a certain level of kind of resistance at some like certain stages. If we kind of look here though, you don't really see that level of crazy selling or sellers. So in theory, it could definitely run higher, but in all fairness, no stocks really just run up this amount, because you have to keep in mind during this time frame, I think SoFi got a new crypto multiple. A lot of SoFi investors kind of knew that is sometime crypto is coming, because you had both Chris and Anthony hinting at it and really doubling down, saying that, hey, it's going to be coming in 2025. So investors know that's coming, but the real question is when. And so at the end of the day, as much as this is very fun and exciting, I think there is going to be some pullback, whether it be this week or possibly in the next couple of weeks. It will be coming, in my opinion. So yes, you can believe $50. I tend to think not, but again, hopefully I'm wrong. Let me know your general thoughts on that in the comments below. But no matter what, going into this upcoming week, the only negative on the actual chart I do want to bring up is the fact that it is very overbought. And that's sometimes okay, because any stock running up and kind of correcting and maybe getting a new multiple, you'll have it overbought for a very long time. But first sign of weakness, whether it be specific to the company or broader market, you could see some volatility. So again, with all the Fed speakers, that's kind of like the wild, wild west. And so anything could happen. Let me know your general thoughts on SoFi. Where do you see things going for this upcoming week? Do you think that we will be above that $30 range? So this next target slash resistance, or do you think that we're going to see some level of consolidation to that 27.96 or 26.54? So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. In my opinion, this upcoming week, we will close very close to that Elliott Wave Technicals, so close to that $33 range. So I feel like we'll be able to get above this R3, whether it be on Monday or possibly on Tuesday. But I can't realistically think that we will be closing above this 33.78 unless some actual news does come out. So if SoFi does drop that crypto update or crypto news on when that's going to be launched or something, then that'll be a completely different story. We'll really move higher. But as far as this week, I feel between that $30 and $33 range is fairly realistic. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And then one final thing, like I mentioned earlier, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.